my name's Tom Neltner. I'm with Unleaded Kids, which is focused on reducing lead from all sources in the environment, whether it's housing, whether it's soil, whether it's the air, whether it's consumer products. Been working on lead for about a quarter century, and I have gotten the privilege of meeting three community-based organizations that are supported by Lead-Free New Jersey. And in talking together, we realized that lead poisoning prevention professionals, whether in housing world or health departments, need to work better with community organizations. And they can learn from each of the three of you. And at the state level, they can see how Lead-Free New Jersey makes this happen. So our four people are from Lead-Free New Jersey is Heather Sorge. She's with Lead-Free New Jersey, and then Shaniqua Lemon from it's Patterson Alliance in Patterson, New Jersey. We have Sherelle Snyder from East Trenton Collaborative and Giovanni Contasano from the Puerto Rico Action Community of Southern Jersey. Each program is different. There's no cookie cutter here, and I think this will be a really good example of how to move forward. So we're back to recording, and what I want to do now is focus on the little more difficult question of what are the challenges of working with the community-based organizations? Why are you sometimes not a simple, like an employee or a part of the agency where you have a distinct role that can be challenging to work with? Not difficult. That's different than challenging. So anybody have any ideas or want to chime in with some perspective on it?
City.
I would,
Well,
yeah, I'll go. So I would say some of the challenges would be red tape, right? With working with like, for example, my local health department, the person that I'm speaking to might not be the person who can say yes or make that decision. There's like a process that needs to go through, certain channels, and that could take a long time before it comes back. So it can be seen as, people are not, taking action, but it's really they might not be the person to give that answer. So just the process, the red tape of going through who's the right person to give that, yes, we can go forward with this. And I will also say, being a small nonprofit, Patterson Alliance, we before getting the LRAP grant to hire the lead program, we were only a staff of 2.5. And I say that because our office manager is part-time. So just me being the only person, lead is an important work that I do, but it's not the only work. So just the limited of just being, honestly me, and just if I have the funding to hire another person or just to help with more communication, and as Patterson Alliance grows, definitely funding would be needed just to fill certain roles.
Got it.
I'll
Good.
pause there.
I think that hello.
Yes.
We hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think that some of the challenges certainly are going to be or are the limited resources that each organization may have. Think about some of the um, coordination challenges, difficulties, and I mean, with other community-based organizations or governmental agencies, and even the community itself. I think that not every organization has that trust from the community. So there's that potential mistrust. That doesn't mean that we can't get there. It just may take a little longer in perhaps different strategies. And even other community-based organizations may play a role in that. For instance, I think about faith-based organizations, and typically community members already have this huge trust factor with those entities and individuals. And then organizations such as, PrEC of Southern New Jersey can piggyback on that. So again, those collaborations are important, come back into play. It is also, I think, important to not set, unrealistic expectations or imposing, top-down solutions. Make sure that I think that you want to get the word, so to speak, from community members themselves, right? They're the ones that are going to dictate what those needs are. Other challenges, identifying those unique needs of the community and whatever that may be, whether it's lead, whether it's housing or some other concern. And I think that sometimes that may hinder effective collaboration and affect those lead hazard reduction efforts.
Got it.
And Giovanni, you just to kind of just give some framework for people who might not be familiar with the way New Jersey, right, is shaped, or you're not, the three hubs are not cookie cutter models of each other, right? So Southern New Jersey is much more sparsely, populated, right? It's bigger and it's more it's like a transportation desert in a lot of places.
Yes.
So you getting messaging out to your audience in 5 counties, right, is going to look different than Shaniqua and Sherelle's, right? Who and their own organizations are very different in the way that they may be able to get things out. And I think that's something that people that aren't familiar with Lead-Free New Jersey and with New Jersey in itself need to realize is that just because you're off hubs, it doesn't look the same. Your goals may be similar, but the way that you go about the work or approach the work or your partnerships look, right, is totally different, which is the beauty of it, right? And I think what's great is you all kind of share and learn from each other. It's almost like a family. This works, this didn't, let's try this and not that, right? So just to put that out there, because I think it's important for people to realize that although similar in nature and drive and purpose, it's not the same.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
And
again, goes back to, those needs of these individual communities.
Right.
That's what really drives everything.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think when it comes to organizations, it just with Patterson Alliance, right? The whole point is to bring nonprofits together, right? To not work in silos. And I think what happens in some collaborative efforts is egos. One organization may want to, this is our program, we're doing this. And I think what the beauty of Patterson Alliance is to come in and say, like, how can I help you? Right? I'm not here to do it. I'm just here to share what you're doing. So also in those moments where it's just sharing a connection or connecting one organization to the next, or just coming in like, give me your flyers and I'll put them on my table to share out. Just like building, that relationship of we're in meetings, we're in a lot of meetings, but at the end of the day, we all need to walk away with what is your action item? How do you contribute to the bigger picture? And I think if it's not clear communication among all partners on who's doing what and what support is needed, if it's not effective and it's not straightforward and transparent, that could be a challenge. Like there's no egos, there's enough homes, enough houses, definitely too many children suffering for all of us not to put in or know how we can support one another.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's happened to the East Trenton Collaborative, working with government agencies. So while working with Rutgers, and we were collecting data for our neighborhood so we can tell the story, our own story. So we had the residents collecting the data since no one else seemed to want to do it. So we worked with Rutgers, and we've given residents jobs to go into people's homes and collect the soil And in order to get into these homes, because we can't keep working our residents and asking from them to do things all the time. And oh, well, you should do what we're asking because we're trying to change the world. Yeah, but they need to live right now, and we can help take care, not all their needs, but we can help alleviate some of the stresses that they're going through. So, in order for them to feel okay with opening their doors, so we can come do our soil sampling, we offer them a $25 gift card. You know how many doors open for us?
Yeah.
Hey, well, yeah, and plus they knew us as well. Oh, it's just Sherelle and the East Trenton Collaborative, and this is and some of the residents when they opened the door, the advocates that we our lead advocates that we were paying to help, we call them our citizen scientists. So they knew some of the residents' addresses they were going to. So as soon as they opened the door, was this, oh, I haven't seen you in so long, and these great greetings. Oh, sure, come do what you need to do. So, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they want to start back up their data collection. But guess what? The doors are not flying open for them. They can't get into the people's homes. So, they come to the East Trenton Collaborative. You think we can follow you guys or you can help us get into these doors that we need to collect soil? Of course. And they were able to collect over 900 samples to date so far since they started, I believe, oh goodness, maybe like the ending or the beginning of 2024. So they've had over 900 samples collected. But they didn't have offices here in the East Trenton neighborhood. So their workers and their scientists would come from miles away and they wanted to use the East Trenton neighborhood, I mean, the East Trenton Center offices. Of course, Sherelle, come on in, take my office, and which they did. So I had to find other places to work. So some of the um, directors from the two, because remember, the East Trenton Collaborative is an initiative of two major organizations. These other major organizations felt, hey, we pay rent. Why shouldn't they pay rent? So we can't have other people coming in thinking, oh, because we're doing a good thing, you cannot impose on residents, nor can you impose on CBOs, community-based organizations.
Good example.
It could be a win-win, but don't think the CBO owes you. Working together, give and take, I think would be the only thing we would have to worry about working with a CBO and a government agency or utility or who have you. Yes, ego.
And it's respect, right, Sherelle? It's a matter of respect and respecting the partnership, and you've
Yes.
provided that level of cohesiveness and partnership, and really set a great example of what that looks like. And because of that, you've had residents like Kisa's story, right, where um, you were able to have a resident want to come forward and share their lead impacted story of their family, but you also made sure to provide compensation for that resident's time, right?
Oh,
That
yes.
because I think a lot of times a challenge that is faced and what's not recognized is the overuse of the ask, right? And you all, what I hear over and over and I see is once they've identified a community voice, oftentimes they want to use you as the model, right? Or as the door keeper, right? And as the person that gets the door open. But it is that level of respect and respecting your time and not overstepping and having over expectations because this work is heavy. This work is exhausting. And the one thing I worry about Tom a lot as backbone staff role, and because of all of these wonderful people and Hubleys and Doug isn't here, but everyone's drive is burnout because they care and they're so passionate and they give so much and they see so much and they get these heartfelt stories and they get these requests and they have the agencies wanting them to get the door open or hold the meeting or pull together a listening session, right? I have to be very careful as a backbone staff member when I try to support, that I'm not overstepping, that I'm not over asking, and that people that are coming to me, it's not my job. I'm not the gatekeeper on who reaches out to the hub leads. But I also don't want them to feel that because they're a part of Lead Free New Jersey, that there's some kind of expectation that they have to go to every event or say yes to every panel or op-ed or whatever that they're asked to do. And I think that's important with these community relationships, is that level of respect and appreciation and understanding, because they get asked a lot of things because they're good at what they do.
So, in your work, have you been situations where you've been asked to do something that you think would undermine your credibility or the trust, or where the agency says something that you don't think is right? How does it work then when you run into that conflict? How do you handle it?
Well, fortunately, I haven't had that experience. Like all of the partners that I've have come and have been
Yeah.
aligned. So I really haven't had to distance myself, and just
Excellent.
thankful for that.
Good.
Well, I mean, I think that you have to voice that opinion,
Hmm.
right? To be able to get to the bottom of whatever issues or concerns you're addressing. Um, there's always two sides to a story, right? And by the way, Heather, you don't try to support. You are incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
And yes, I do enjoy that flexibility and respect and consideration that you, as well as the rest of the LFJ team, offers.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, yeah, I think you have to voice the opinion. You have to kind of share, where those differences are, have some dialogue about it, and work together to try to come up with something that is, I guess, prudent for all.
Mm.
Uh, and again, going back to Shaniqua's point, communication is critical.
Got it.
Yeah. I think, Tom, just to close on this, I think from my perspective, I have to make decisions a lot in terms of being a program manager when things come across my desk, whether it's a sign-on letter or a request to uh, get involved with legalities around certain laws or enforcement of certain things. And what I always go back to is that Lead Free New Jersey is a collective impact model, and we're made of a lot of different kinds of partnerships. So, what I try to do is look at through the lens of sharing the information on, here was what I was approached with, and you need to look at this as your own organization and part and decide how you'd like to respond, because it's not as simple for Lead for New Jersey as a large collective impact to boldly go out and say broadly, we want this or we think that.
Mm.
It's a very big process, and we have a procedure manual and we have rules, which are important and to have when you're doing this kind of work. But I think that's the one takeaway I would want to share, is that you're only as good as the sum of your parts. And so allowing each of these organizations and different pieces that make the collaborative choose independently on how they want to process and do things is what's important, because we're not all the same all the time. We don't have one mind. We don't think one way. We just reach towards the goals.
So sometimes the answer might be no, or not now.
Very, oh,
Yeah.
sometimes, yes.
And and
Yes.
that people have to realize is even if they think it's the best thing possible, the answer may be no or not now.